Evolution in business is normal, which is why I'm surprised at the reaction we're getting to Nick Saban's comments about why, in part, he chose to leave college football. Sure, it's possible that Saban goes to athletes, wants to talk to them about the program he's building, and they only want to talk about playing time and money, and I can see where that becomes something that he doesn't want to be a part of. But isn't that normal in most businesses? I have friends, frankly, that were successful in the music business for years. Part of the reason they got out is eventually they looked at the landscape of the current environment and said, no, that's not what I want to do. Doesn't mean they weren't successful. Doesn't mean they aren't legends, some of them. It just means that they looked at the current climate and said, that's not for me. It's okay for Nick Saban to say, hey, I don't want to be in a name, image, likeness world. That's not for me. I don't want to have to worry about compensating players. It's also okay for a name, image, likeness to exist. Sometimes what you have to do as a sport, as a business, as an entity, is look around at the future. And that might cost you in the present. But if you're building towards something that you think is more sustainable, isn't it worth it? Look at what we've seen when we talk about recruiting and how more teams than ever are getting top-notch recruits. Look at what we've seen in the balance of power across college football. The fact is, Alabama hasn't been as dominant the last couple of years in some ways. Why? Partially because of name, image, likeness. Isn't it fair to say that the very thing that could make college football better for the next generation is something that Nick Saban simply doesn't want to be a part of? And that's okay. Nothing changes his legend status. Nothing also changes his stacked bank account, which gives him the opportunity to look around at the landscape and decide what he does or doesn't want to be a part of. And while all of that can be true, and we should break it down and figure out what it means, it doesn't mean that the sky is falling. It doesn't mean that the system is broken. And it doesn't mean that the future of college football needs to worry about the past with Nick Saban.